Hi, everybody. It's Jess Orton here with the Big Gay Trucker Podcast. Hope you're all having an amazing day. Obviously, I am your Big Gay Trucker today. Bobby is out on date day with his gay little princess. And so he is out having fun, enjoying the beach and the ocean, going out and drinking that nasty ass boba crap that he drinks. But we are going live on a weird day. I know it's Tuesday. What the hell's going on? Usually we're live on Saturdays, but you know what? Let's switch it up. I mean, the country's all fucked up. Why not? We'll just get all crazy anyway. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Remember, grab your drinks because we're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk to somebody very interesting, very particular, in a particular field today. We are talking today to Kate Hardy, who is the executive director of 6 Feet Over. It is a Michigan-based mental health. Um, Not really sure what the hell to add to that. And she's over there laughing. I can see her. Um, but we're going to talk to Kate today and kind of, get into things that are a little controversial right now. And if many of you don't realize, we are a controversial group. We don't care. We're going to say things, we're going to do things. And that's just how we are. So, everybody, I would like for you to please welcome Miss Kate Hardy. Hi, Kate.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Not a problem. And so, Kate, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out in the country have no clue what the hell 6 feet over is. Um, you want to go ahead and explain who you are, what you do, and a little bit about what 6 feet over is?
Yeah. So I'm Kate Hardy. I'm the executive director and founder of 6 Feet Over. I'm a suicidologist, which just basically means that my specialty is all things suicide, either suicide prevention, best practices, and then postvention services. And that's where 6 Feet Over comes in. So 6 Feet Over does suicide prevention work as well as postvention work. So we have a program called Suck It Suicide. That one is our suicide prevention outreach. It's unconventional. It's a little bit of dark humor. We just talk to people, meet them where they are, talk to them like they're real humans. And then our Lemonade program works with suicide loss survivors one-on-one with emotional, resource, and financial support for after-death costs.
Okay. That's a whole lot of information.
We do so much, and I am tired.
I mean, from all of what you just said, I'd be tired too.
Uh-huh.
So my question is one that I'm sure everybody's kind of wondering, and I've actually been asked this already by a couple of people. 6 feet over, what does it mean? Where did that name come from?
That's a good question. So Suck It Suicide came first, and I knew that that wasn't going to be something that spoke to people who have a lot of money that I needed from them. So 6 Feet Over was a good play on words because we help those who want to stay 6 feet over, people who want to support those who are trying to stay 6 feet over, and those who are left 6 feet over.
Instead of 6 feet under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good. I like that. That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
So 6 feet over is based out of Detroit, Michigan.
Yes. So we're based out of Detroit. We serve Michigan and Kansas right now with the funding that we have.
Okay. Now you obviously go on conferences a lot because, as everybody already knows, if they watched last Saturday's show, I fucked up royally. Oh my god.
Mistakes happen. You're a human being.
And I'm like almost perfect. So that just so I thought their podcast was Saturday. I put it in the promos, everything else like that. And then afterwards, I went and looked at our email chain, and it's like, shit, I screwed up. But anyway, we got it all figured out. We talked over the weekend. We were good to go.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to do 6 feet over?
I'm a 9-time suicide loss survivor. I lost my mom in 2003 and 8 of my friends. So that spoke to me understanding kind of like what that survivor experience is and all of the things that were lacking as far as support and gaps in services and understanding. And the conversation around it. And then the prevention side of it is because I come from a punk rock metal background, and there wasn't a whole lot out there that wasn't handholdy and kittens hanging from branches and
Right.
cadences that were patronizing. And I wanted to have something that was available for my friends. So um, that's
I mean,
what.
obviously, suicide sucks. I mean, it really does. I mean,
Yes,
in my
terrible.
in my personal life, I've lost maybe three or four to suicide, and it just a lot of people don't think about it. It's like, oh well, that can't happen to my family. What do you say to people like that?
Not only can it probably has. So I've seen a shift just over the past 21 years since my mom died, in the conversations that people have. Like
Mhm.
years after my mom died, I found out that a cousin of hers had also killed himself. Like people will just tell you once you open the door for it, they'll tell you about their experiences, their own attempts, or their losses, but it's not something people are comfortable doing yet, completely,
Right.
or they just don't know. Like my mom had attempted a bunch of times before she died, and my brother hid it from me to try to protect me. So
So,
sometimes people just don't know.
I mean, I'll be, put it out there a little bit. I have attempted suicide once when I was 16, and then a couple of times in my 20s. And the suicidal thoughts have happened multiple times. And I think if it wasn't for this actual organization, I would have followed through with it about 2 years ago. So it's a thing that it happens, especially in the trucking industry, and a lot of people don't think about it. Yes, the trucking industry is an amazing place to be and everything else like that. But at the same time, you're alone a lot. You get into your head, and sometimes too many people follow those thoughts away a little too far.
Yeah, I mean,
And
isolation is something that isn't helpful, and
Mhm.
it's something some people do. They self isolate when they are feeling suicidal or having suicidal thoughts. But I really want to say I'm glad you're still here. Thank
Oh,
you for
thank
being
you.
here.
I am too. I've recently gone through some major traumatic things and everything else like that, and I can honestly say that it has never crossed my mind.
Good.
And so, that's a good thing to know that I've come that far in my mental health. So, thank you. And with mental health, and it's a major vital part of our organization
Mhm.
because the, we lose so many truckers out there a year to suicide. I don't know the numbers right offhand. It's a whole other thing. Me and you were talking about statistics. Yeah, I should
Mhm.
probably know that, but I don't. Um, but it's well over 1,000.
Mhm. I believe it.
Many.
It's a lot of masculine dominated fields that have really high suicide rates. So like construction is another one. It doesn't necessarily mean that the only people who are dying by suicide in those communities are male or male identifying. It
Right.
just means that for some reason those fields, maybe it's the culture within them, maybe it's the isolation, maybe it's so many things, and there's still so much research going on. Could be
Right.
any one of those things, but yeah, I'm not. I would love to say that I'm shocked, but I am not.
So I'm gonna be a little controversial with this one. Is that with the current political crises and the conditions of the current political things going on with the trans community, are you finding that you're getting more calls or more people worried and concerned about their mental health right now?
Um, First of all, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Not a giant trash fire. I have not seen an escalation right now. That being said, uh, there's peak seasons for suicide, and
Mhm.
it's generally spring and fall. So, as we are leaving winter, we already are expecting an uptick just based on the season. But then when you go along with, there's been an uptick in the use of crisis services like 988. And I'm sure if we were to get a hold of the Trans Lifeline, they would probably say the same, and Trevor as well. I would not be shocked if there was an uptick, um, more than what we would have had last year. Just even when November 8th rolled around and election results came in, people were already voicing their own internal concerns for their personal well-being, safety, and mental health. So I honestly am expecting and planning to have a higher caseload for this spring and summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I fully understand it. Now, I also know that you said that you're in Detroit, Michigan, and you're as well in Kansas, but you're in conference and you go to conferences like all over the country, or do you go
Mhm.
internationally? What?
Right now, just within the country, there's a few that we can't afford to go to that are out of the country. There's one in particular. It's like bereavement of suicide loss. That's in Manchester, UK. I'd love to go to that one because that's another part of what I specialize in. But usually within the United States, and there's a lot of really great conferences that are around, like the American Association of Suicidology, which is a real thing. I just was at a Michigan suicidology conference called Kevin's Song. Yeah, there's CTAC and there's all these other there's so many. So
Right.
it allows me to learn from other people and find out other perspectives. It's pretty awesome. It's dope.
So, do you focus at all like on a specific area of people's lives, or is it just suicide, or are we talking about like traumatic events, stuff like that?
It's all connected. Like
Right.
housing is suicide prevention. Uh, Food is suicide prevention. Access to care is suicide prevention. Everything feeds into it. So, like culture, faith, there's so many things that lead into it.
Right.
So, my job is to have the biggest breadth of knowledge I can possibly get, just so I can make sure that whoever we are talking to is getting somebody who can have even just a modicum of insight into what they're going through to be able to help them.
So, I guess I am going to ask you a slight statistic question, even though I said I
You
was.
promised, but all right, let's go for it. Let's see if I know it off the top of my head.
Just,
I'm shit at these.
so, do you see more of the incoming, like, because do you guys do like, is it like a phone call center? Is it in person? What is it?
So no, when we do our outreach, we're usually at a festival, at a concert, at a local show, at a bar, at community events, whatever people invite us to, and we'll hang out and just shoot the shit with people and answer
Right.
questions.
Okay.
We don't have a crisis line ourselves, but I am part of a committee for 988, and I also think that CTL is a crisis text line is also a really good option. But 988 has upped their services quite a bit.
So I guess the question I have is that do you see more of the bulk of people that you deal with? Do you see more male female? Do you see more trans? Do you see more? And what age groups are you seeing a lot of this in? Is it younger, middle aged, older?
So while there isn't one particular demographic, it just also depends on where we are. So if I'm doing a Pride festival, obviously I'm going to have a whole different vibe than if I'm at, like a concert. Like it's just the demographics that are attending. But in my experience, and I don't know if this is qualitative, not quantitative data. In my experience,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not my favorite term because like a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man. But I get more when I'm doing a Pride festival, I will get more trans women to come and talk to us about what they've gone through, and what their struggles are and what their life is like right now and what supports they have and talk it out with us
Right.
than I do trans men. And I don't know, I can't tell you why that is, but that's a norm for us. I will say that I have seen over time people in like the Gen X and Boomer generations definitely talking more to us, but wholeheartedly, it is definitely like Gen X or not Gen X, millennials and below that are very, very open about talking or asking questions and seeking resources. So it's not that the other groups don't want to talk about it. I think they're learning how to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. And our even our generation, because I found out that she's like 1 year younger than me, even though she looks like she's in her freaking 20s.
You bathe in the blood of your enemies. This is what happens.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Um, so I know in our generation, it wasn't talked about a lot.
No. And if
You know,
it was because you
we're
were
a lot like
batshit crazy.
I'm
You
kind of
know?
like I think that I feel that our generation was one of those last ones that really didn't talk much because we were just told to hide it and deal with it and hide it under the rug so company don't see it kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. No, it was shameful. It was something that was like your fault because you couldn't hang, you couldn't cut
Right.
it or whatever. You just weren't strong enough. And that's bullshit.
It
Like
is.
I mean, if that were true, um, you know, suicide would not have been a thing prior to our generation.
Right.
Um,
Now, do you see anything from people? I mean, do you talk to people that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, stuff like
yeah,
that?
I do, and statistically speaking, uh, it's actually middle-aged white men and the elderly who are super high risk. And there's reasons, like there's, you know, lack of purpose after retirement, or their kids don't need them anymore, or they have changing lives just in general. They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to cope. They weren't taught proper coping skills. Who knows what those could be? There's, again, research continuing. The older adults, everybody's dying around them. There's chronic pain. There's a lot of things going on that make them high risk too.
Okay, I mean that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Hmm.
I'm. I'll put my.
Super fun. I'm like a lot of fun at parties. I just want to let you know. Like
I
I'm
bet. I
super fun
bet.
at
Don't
parties.
kill yourself, but go ahead and drink that.
Yeah. Like I got you. We're gonna have a good time. But
If you don't stop from that drink, I'll be over there.
yeah, usually when people are like, "What do you do for a living?" and I tell them, they just like back away into the bush like Homer Simpson, you know?
See, I'm one of those weird, creepy motherfuckers that I will be like, I'm gonna just sit right here next to you, and we're just gonna
Yep.
talk. I'm like,
Oh,
well,
you would love a suicidology conference. We're all a bunch of weirdos who love
like
talking about the weird, uncomfortable stuff. It's
my friends,
amazing.
like all my close friends, and even people here in the organization, they know when Jess mentions the word hearse. I always hear this. Oh God, not this shit again. Like I'm all about funeral stuff and the death stuff, and
I'm
I'm
actually a member of the Michigan Funeral Director Association, and the organization is like a honorary member, I guess, of the Kansas Funeral Director Association.
yeah those.
And our board president is a funeral director, fourth gen. So like I get to talk about funerals all the time, and
Oh,
it is a
I'm here.
glorious.
Oh, like I can't. I so just want to go to a hearse like organization thing where they just have all hearses and
Oh, go to hell.
like.
Go to hell
So
when
I
they
don't.
have it.
Do you ever watch? And I know we are so getting off track here, but I really don't give a shit. Um, on TikTok, there is a lady called Lauren the Mortician.
I have not, but I'm
You
sure
gotta
she's
look her up. Like, oh my god, it is. She's got some amazing things on there, like what they do during cremation and stuff. And we probably really shouldn't be talking about saying suicide at the same time. Oh,
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everybody dies. Everybody has to go through a funeral home.
yeah,
You can. It's not something that a lot of people have spent a whole lot of time in investigating because that's an uncomfortable thing too. It just so happens that we work with funeral homes and crematories and
right,
suppliers and stuff. So for me, I've been able to separate the emotional side and the business side of it, I
yeah,
guess. Like, yeah, I've done walkthroughs of crematories to make sure that they are up to the standards that I would want our clients to work with.
right,
That they're
right.
compassionate, they do things the right way, they're clean, whatever. And also they're great people who are working there. You have to be a certain level of human to do that type of work.
So obviously, you work with people that are going through this stuff. Do you work with the families after it has been unsuccessful?
So we don't say successful or not successful or complete or incomplete or the failed
Right,
attempt. Um, those are okay, I guess, for academics, but what that does is it makes suicide into like a checklist or some sort of measure of ability, which is kind of stupid. So we say they killed themselves or died by suicide or attempted suicide. It's factual. It's what happened. It doesn't point out any sort of character flaw even, because there isn't any. So when we're doing our outreach is when I would talk to somebody who's attempted suicide. And with that, it's just generally like, what kind of resources do you have? What have you been doing to keep yourself around? Like, is that working? What are
Right.
your coping skills? And there's some support groups out there. Some of them are even virtual that are specifically for people with lived experience, which is another term for people who have attempted
Right.
suicide. Mhm.
Okay. But you do work with like so if someone attempt or not sorry not attempt but
No,
does
if they attempted suicide, that's a real thing.
or if they have committed suicide, do you work with the family members that are left behind?
Yeah. So the Lemonade program is specific to suicide loss survivors. So the only people who can go through that program are people who have lost somebody to suicide. For
Hmm.
the financial assistance, it's if they've lost their person within the last year. But anybody can work with us for the just the emotional and resource support. So they work one-on-one with a client advocate. They're all dope. They're either social work interns or my staff. And yeah, so you get like one-on-one time where you can just shoot the shit with somebody who's just like a friend who knows a lot about suicide and death.
Right.
And they can walk you through it. You can vent about the aunt who is still being an asshole to you and saying shitty things because they blame you for whatever reason, give you what resources are available to you in your area. We look those up too. We call those numbers. We do all of the hard, heavy lifting. So that way we're not giving people false hope. We want to make sure it's actually a real fucking thing before we hand it
Right.
over.
No, I get it. So because I mean you work with so many different types of organizations. Have you ever worked with an organization like ours?
I don't think we've done an actual partnership with an organization like yours, but there's been referrals that have gone back and forth, things like that, but nothing like super official in that way.
So how because I mean obviously we're focused on two major things, obviously
Mhm.
LGBTQ and then truck driving.
Mhm.
Do you see a lot of or deal with a lot of truck driving suicides?
That's a good question. One of the things we don't pull is from our folks is occupation. So it
Mhm.
might be a good thing to harvest, and my team's gonna hate me for it now because it's another thing that I'm gonna ask them to add on.
Just tell them that, hey, I talked to this Michigan person and
I'll
who
be
lives
like,
in Florida.
so we're gonna add another thing. They're gonna be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like,
Right.
no,
But I
I'm
mean, it's something that a lot of people don't think about with trucking. They think everybody is just they've always got money and all this other crap, and it's not always true. But they
I also
don't.
think it's an invisible demographic.
Yeah,
'Cause it's just something you see every day. It's like a blade of grass, right? Like,
yeah.
you don't realize that it's there. You don't
You
pay
see
attention
that. You
to it.
mean you see these trucks? They go up and down the
Mhm,
interstates and the highways, and you see these people, but you don't see.
mhm,
They don't see us. They don't see us as who we are, what our lives are behind that wheel, behind those seats, and in those
right,
trucks.
yeah,
They don't see our bill issues. They don't see all the things that we have to stress about.
mhm,
Not only dealing with the fucking morons that are driving on these roads
yeah,
and making sure that our daily, we literally do one of the most dangerous jobs in America.
yeah,
But then we also have that job in America that if it wasn't for us, nobody would have anything. So we are stressed and there's a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes,
yeah.
you know and so I was just, like I said, I was just wondering if you see or hear a lot of anything that from the truckers itself.
Not yet, but
We're gonna get to
hit
the bottom of that one.
hit me up in a couple of years when I have a really complete data set for
Right, right.
you.
We'll do a statistics show.
I'll be like, "Look at my new thing. I made an entire spreadsheet."
Right, exactly.
I look real cool, but in reality, I'm just a dork who loves a good spreadsheet.
Right. Oh, see, you can keep that shit. Um, I'll stick to the social media thing. Like, do you find it in the work that you do and everything? Does it add extra stress to your life?
Oh, my job? Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, my job used to be working with clients and just doing events and a little bit of admin work, but as we've grown
Mhm.
with great responsibility, it's now I'm doing a lot more of the administrative stuff, so I don't get to do the fun stuff that I used to do as much, or I get to do it and I don't get to enjoy it. So, like, I'll do the outreach, but it's more logistics and me showing up and being really tired because I've had to do everything else.
Right.
Um, like, I love what we do. I don't always love what I have to do to make sure it's going. Like, main role now is making sure that we have funding to make sure that our staff is paid and that our clients can get what they need and we can continue going out and doing outreach. So,
So that would definitely mean that the crap that came down today is definitely gonna possibly axe you right in the ass.
someday, yeah. Feeling pretty lucky that today was not the day that I curled up in a ball and cried, but a lot of my friends are.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. But yeah, the memo that came down today about the stoppage of federal grant funding and loans is going to have a direct effect on a lot of people across this country, from housing to food to crisis services, which is kind of where we fall. So, and
Right.
mental health. It's
Now,
not a good thing.
when did you guys start? When did
We
60 start?
unofficially 2012, I threw a party, an event, a fundraiser for, just, I think it was for another organization, but I called it Suck at Suicide. I made a shit ton of shirts. And I
Right.
didn't sell all the shirts, even though my husband literally told me the exact number I should have gotten, and I bought more. I
It,
sold it
well,
at that exact
you
number.
know, if you need any shirts made or anything, there's a whole line of machines sitting right here. We do that. We do coasters. We do cups. We do everything.
I
There's
might hit you up for that shit later, but
we have two 3D printers sitting right here.
woo, girl, stop. Knock it off. You're a
I mean,
consummate
there's stuff on
salesperson.
this side of me, on this side of me, you have no idea. And then,
It's
of
all good.
course, it's full of drag queen stuff too. So,
Sparkly. But yeah, I mean, I threw this event, and then a friend of mine died 2 months later, and people were like, "Hey, Katie talks about suicide and stuff," and then it just kind of steamrolled from there. So we
right.
got our LLC in 2013, and then our 501(c)(3) in 2014.
Okay.
So
How big?
officially, we're just
How,
over 10 years old.
how big is the organization? Like, how many people do you have working with you and stuff like that?
Uh, it's myself and four paid staff people. Three are full time, one is part time. So I've got one full time, one part time in Kansas, and
Mm.
then myself, the lemonade director, and our administrative coordinator full time here. And like, for perspective on growth, like, our first year, our budget was 2,500, and my projected 2025 full budget, because I haven't finished it yet, don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
Is around 1.2 million, which sounds like a lot, but when you want to,
that's not
I,
much
I,
money at all.
it's not that much money. Like, more than half of that is going to help pay for funeral expenses
Yeah.
and costs like that.
So, I guess my question is, I mean, obviously, knowing that I grew up in Michigan, suicide is people just don't realize Michigan has had a lot of issues with that.
Mhm.
Why Kansas?
Well, we're in Kansas because Kansas was like, "Here, take money," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, here I am.
Hey!
Hi, I'm Kate. Let me help your people." I get the why Kansas question a lot. Actually, it's from those conferences. So over years, I would do speaking, and I would go in, and postvention is a thing that isn't paid a whole lot of attention to. There aren't a whole lot of programs for it. We were like one of the first. There's a few that are like ours, but not quite, that came after us.
Right.
So I had met a guy at a conference. He and I were the mom and dad of a lot of the conference parties, making sure that people got home safe or alone, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A
Yeah.
little like, gotta make sure that everything
we
is
we have those
kosher.
shows too, don't worry.
Yeah. We're trying to make sure people aren't making any professional mistakes as well. So, like, But he's sober and I don't drink a whole lot. So contrary to what the shelf might make you think, I don't drink a
I
whole
ain't gonna
lot.
lie. I've been staring at the shelf the whole time, thinking this is how she gets through the day.
No, no, I really don't drink a whole lot. And so turns out he was like fairly high up in Kansas programming, specifically around mental health. So after about 6 or 7 years, I finally realized what he did for a living. And I said, hey, this program I think is ready to expand. Would you have any interest in having it in Kansas? And then it took another 2 years for us to work out the details, and we ended up there. We were just given funding in Michigan, which isn't nearly what we need. But for
Right.
perspective, Kansas on average does about 500 suicide losses a year, and Michigan is about 1,500.
Yeah.
So the funding that we have in Michigan is for this 1 year. It's a 1 year grant, $250,000, which is actually not a shit ton of money. In Kansas, our yearly is $650,744 a year, and they have fewer losses than we do. So those are the bulk of our budget, and it is strictly devoted to helping suicide loss survivors. Everything else is shoestring outreach.
To me, I mean, if you have a state that has more suicides than another, why are the numbers backwards?
Priority and understanding the importance. So suicide loss survivors are at a higher risk for suicide death. And there needs to be a priority in how money is spent. So it's also how systems are built. So Kansas has money built into the budget specifically for suicide prevention. They've got a suicide prevention department in multiple different areas of the government. Michigan doesn't have a suicide prevention department in its government at all. They have yeah. So and actually it was going to be, but it didn't make it through appropriations.
Yeah.
This year. So
shocked.
There's just differences. So like where my funding in Kansas comes through a Kansas department,
right?
The Michigan funding comes through appropriations. So it's different. Yeah.
Well,
it's not ideal, and I'm working on it, but
I think it'd be awesome to have you guys because we do multiple shows a year and do all these different kinds of truck shows and stuff like that. So I think it'd be awesome if we could possibly link up somehow together and do a truck show, and
that'd be dope.
That would be awesome because that's something that, like you said, it's not a demographic that you think of and that you talk about very often.
Right.
So, and that'd be another whole thing for your staff to say, "Fuck you." No.
Anytime we can participate in anything, I'm likely to say yes. If we can get it into our calendar, but fuck yeah, I'll be there. I'm strong believer that everybody deserves support and acknowledgement.
I mean, who doesn't want to party with a bunch of gay truckers?
I mean, I, for one, am not one of those people who would decline that offer ever.
Yeah, I mean,
ever.
We have hangouts here at the house and everything, and I kid you not, the entire bar area, like the counters and the kitchen, get covered with alcohol, and there's all these other kinds of drinks too. But I mean, why?
I'll make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah, you could be the one to be like, all right, don't do this, don't do that.
No.
But
put it away.
we got a big old covered pool out here and everything, so we could just, absolutely. But no, I think it's outside of joking and having fun and stuff like that. It's something that you don't see it and you don't hear it in our industry, especially in the LGBTQ sector part of the industry. That's it's something that we are. I believe that we're going to have to deal with in a very, very soon time upcoming because of everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is acknowledging that it could be a problem, but then in addition to that, being supportive of each other and being there for each other in whatever way is possible.
Yeah, and I know we also work really close, obviously with 988. We also work really close with Truckers Against Trafficking, and I know that there's a lot of suicide that happens within that and what goes on because of that. So we've had them on podcasts and stuff like that before, and we worked with them at the Mid America Truck Show, and so it's like, I think it'd be really cool to do something big with all three. That'd be really, because like obviously, you've already said, we've talked about, you don't know the numbers there.
No.
And that could definitely be a strong point to help your staff when they need those numbers.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the CDC kind of gives you like the top 10 that they're
yeah.
able to collect from death certificates and stuff,
Mhm.
but you don't get the full record.
No,
And so if it's not breaking the top
they don't
10,
always they don't always get the full story on it
right.
either. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
We get labeled as oh, carbon dioxide poisoning, or natural causes. Is a lot of times it's not. But I know it's an insurance game.
Sometimes it is. Yeah, especially if somebody is dying within work hours or work parameters or in the truck that is owned by somebody else or whatever it is. That still does happen. But additionally, medical examiners and coroners are going off of the information that they have.
Yeah,
So, like, they're not going to call a zebra when they see a horse.
right.
But they could just, the stripes might just be covered up and nobody will know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we've already had a really good talk, and like I said, I would like to definitely stay in touch with you.
Yeah.
You seem cool, as cool as hell, but you
I
know,
mean, I'm cool and I'm full of really fun, happy, uplifting facts. And
right?
yeah, I'm just here for a good time.
And you're married to the Sons of Anarchy guy, so I mean, what the hell? What could you ask for more? And so, tell Baldy we said hi.
I
Um,
will. I will. I'll pat him on the head. He'll love that.
look, I get it on the tummy all the time. Every once in a while, I've been called the St. James Buddha. I've been called Buddhas of different houses. So yeah, I get it.
Last time somebody rubbed my belly, I was pregnant and they got some words from me. So
I enjoy it personally.
well, I'll remember that when I see you in person one day. First thing I'm doing, you're not getting a hug. I'm going to rub your
How are
belly.
you?
And I'll be like, I wish for $1,000,000. I wish for $1,000,000.
Shit. At this point, I'd wish for 1,000. Well, Kate, I gotta say it is really honored to talk to you today, and I'm glad you showed up. And like I said, I apologize for the fuck up last
Yeah.
weekend. And but if anybody, Michigan, Kansas, or anywhere in this country is having an issue,
Mhm.
please let them know how they can contact you.
So if you want to get a hold of us, our website is a great place to start. It's just 6feetover.org. So sixfeetover.org. You can email us at info@ with that. I mean, social media is another way. However you want to get a hold of us. So we're 6 feet over on both Facebook and Instagram. And then we also have Suck It Suicide. So there's a bunch of different ways for you to find us. But yeah, let us know. And if you are a person outside of one of those states who lost somebody within one of the states, Michigan or Kansas, you are eligible for lemonade services too.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And I thank you for guys for doing what you do. One thing that like I said, mental health has been a major factor not only in my life, my mother's life, going back many generations in our family. And I was there for the end of my mother's life, and multiple times, multiple times, because of the pain and everything she was going through, asked us to attempt assisted suicide.
Assist suicide, yeah.
And I have my personal beliefs on that. I have no issue with it or anything else like that. But at the same time, I know you guys can't talk about stuff like that, I'm sure. But
Death with dignity is a conversation within the field, and it is highly debated. But 6 feet over stands on the ground that there is a difference in that area.
I mean, obviously, me and you both come from the state of Dr. Kevorkian.
He didn't do it the right way.
He didn't do it the right way, but he was a leader.
He didn't do it the right way.
But I thank you for coming on here. I hope you had fun, and I hope you learned
Yeah.
some things. And I hope it didn't offend you in any way. If we did,
God, no.
see somebody else. But anything else you would like to say before we go?
I do want to share that the funding concerns from today will likely impact crisis services even through 988. And I would highly advise people to be patient with the crisis services because they are freaking out and they understand that it's going to make changes for them and make things in departments, if it's LGBTQIA plus lines or whatever it might be, just be patient and still utilize them, still trust them. But I just want everybody to know that it is
Yeah, definitely know
top
they're
of everybody's
they'll
mind and
always
just,
be there. And like,
yeah,
if you feel anything, angst or anything else like that, we're not telling you not to do it,
yeah.
to call, because you definitely need to call. You
You
know,
should call, and if you have the means to do so, I would find the closest crisis line to you and donate to them.
yeah,
988 is gonna be fine. It's the local small crisis centers that are near you and have that work the 988 lines, they're the ones who are really gonna need funding. So if you
right.
donate to 6 Feet Over, but if that is something that,
That was cute.
yeah, if crisis lines are something that you use frequently and you're a big proponent of them, I would highly recommend you do that to help them out. They're going to need it.
Okay, well, I thank you for being here today. And remember, you gotta stay tuned because Cher's coming up on our next
Oh
one.
God, I can't wait.
Yay!
Thank
The
you all so much for being so
Super K
welcoming.
fever is definitely coming out of me for this next one. Not that it didn't come out with you, because I mean, I got pretty lively with this one too. Uh, but like I said, thank you for coming on, and we will definitely be in touch soon. Um, and remember, you are now. So before, I was just gonna say before, she's like, "Oh God, not no pressure at all," because I told her we were gonna be live on 8 platforms, and then she's gonna go on a whole bunch of other ones, and we are international too. So just so you know, there's probably people in other countries watching you right now. So don't you feel great? No. All right. Well, thanks for being on. Hope you have an amazing night. Enjoy that Michigan weather.
Yeah.
Um, thanks again.
All right. Thank you all very much.
All right,
You're
not a
amazing.
problem. Have a good
Okay.
night.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Enjoyed bringing it to you. Something a little different, something that you don't think about it very often. And if you are in Michigan or Kansas, and we understand that they are state specific, if you're outside of those states, there are other people that you can contact, and I'm sure 6 Feet Over can get you any of the references or links that you need to get in touch with those people. She's shaking her head yes, so I'm thinking I did that right. Um, the things that are going on right now, to those who are being affected by it, I'm sorry, and it affects all of us, even here, because we are a nonprofit organization. But always know we're there for you. We love you. If you need to talk to any of us, our numbers are all over that page, the business page, all of our platforms. Reach out to one of us, Derek, Bobby, myself, Tabitha, Vivian, anyone. We understand what you're going through. You may not think we do, but we understand more than you will ever know. So always remember, we're here, we're queer, we get it, we understand, and just remember, it's not over. The bricks are gonna start getting thrown, and remember, Stonewall started with one brick, and it takes more than just one to do everything, but it does start with just one. All right, guys, I'll be back on here in less than an hour, and you can see Mr. Wayne Smith, who is an icon in the impersonation and drag world. He is a Cher impersonator, and we are going to be blessed with his presence. And always remember, stand up, stand out, and always, always stand proud.